Hey, it's Joshua Gaiman with joshuagaiman.com. August 6th, 2011, and last night, Friday evening, near the end of the day, some big news was announced. And if you've been watching my blog and paying attention to my YouTube videos, watching the show, I called that, knew that was coming. 3 months ago, the S&P downgraded the US credit rating from stable to negative, but they kept their AAA rating. Just this past week, Moody's did the same thing, but kept the AAA rating. So it was like there's a couple little glitches, but we still had that AAA rating, which is the perfect credit rating that a country can have. Yesterday, we were downgraded to AA plus with a negative outlook, and that's huge. That's big news for the world. I can't believe it took them as long as it took them to downgrade us. We're actually at a point right now where our government, if all of the goods and services that our country produces in 1 year were added up for 5 years, and we had no expenses during that time, that all that GDP that we created, that value, still would be less than our national debt. It's absolutely just insane, and it took them this long to downgrade us. It's just like the mortgage-backed securities with the CDOs. CDOs are collateralized debt obligations, and basically what happened was when there was the bubble from real estate, banks were grouping mortgages together, and then they were selling those off together, and it was creating bonds, and those were getting packaged, and then those were getting sold off, and people were buying and selling and investing in these things, and then the insurance for those, people were buying those. That's why a lot of people got rich, because people bet against. The people that knew what was going on betted against, and the banks betted against these mortgage-backed securities because they knew they would fail. But my point is that the credit ratings, S&P and Moody's, took forever to downgrade the rating of those securities, and they had already collapsed before they downgraded. So it's kind of like what we're seeing right now. Really, by all practical senses, we're BK. The dollar is toast. So it's just insane. The S&P claimed that the reason for downgrading the U.S. now was actually the difference between political parties has proven to be extraordinarily difficult to bridge, is what they said. So it's the politics. It's just like I said in my last video, that the casualties of this war that we had between the GDP and the Democrats over the last couple of weeks, and really over the last 6 months, over the debt ceiling, the casualties are the American people. We toasted our dollar. We just destroyed our credit rating because of that nonsense. And what's really crazy is that the GDP and the Democrats, really, they want the same thing. Neither of them want massive spending cuts. Neither of them want to protect the dollar. Both plans were BS if you looked at them. I mean, it was just classic Republicans and Democrats going at it with nothing real happening, which is just insane. And that way too much of that going on right now. Insane stuff. I want to leave you with one last thing. This is actually from Dave Ramsey. I caught this because my buddy John over in the Hawaii threw this up on his Facebook, and so shout out to Jigga John if you see this video. But Dave Ramsey wrote or said, if the U.S. government was a family, they would be making $58,000 a year. They spend $75,000 a year and are $327,000 in credit card debt. They are currently proposing big spending cuts to reduce their spending to $72,000 a year. These are the actual proportions of the federal budget and debt reduced to a level that we can understand. So thank you, Dave Ramsey, for that. Have a great week. Keep paying attention to what's going to happen. This week, gold and silver are going to shoot up. I'm still holding tight to my $200 an ounce silver prediction for October of next year, coming up on the elections of 2012. And, I haven't thrown out a prediction for gold. A buddy of mine threw out $5,000 an ounce yesterday. I don't know. I'm not gonna make a call on gold yet, but I think it's definitely going to be $2,000-3,000 absolute minimum.